Preliminary reports, and none of those blows were severe enough to cause any internal injuries, and also that the subject was high on or had crack cocaine and PCP in his system.
All right, Roger, thank you very much for joining us. Let's go back to our panel. Ted, got to go to you first. You've been on the street as how long were you in the police force?
Boy, for what, about 10 years, and then I was a federal agent for some odd years, so, you know, I've done it all. But I can tell you, Greta, everything I see here, you know, any loss of life is regrettable. But under the circumstances of what these law enforcement officers were faced with, I think that they acted properly. When they came to the scene, you could see where they tried to back up. And this guy charged at him. Now, you got to understand that this guy was not just some rational guy. This guy was high on PCP and cocaine. They tried to get him under control, and quite naturally, this is far better than pulling your gun and shooting the guy. The guy even knocked the living hell out of one of these officers. So I think that they were clearly justified, or tragically a life was lost, but I think they did the right thing.
Jeff?
Unbelievable. You know, this is a perfect example of people seeing what they want to see and disregarding the rest. He wasn't high on PCP and coke. The medical examiner said he had traces in his body. That doesn't make you high. And he had an enlarged heart because every 450-pound man walking around has an enlarged heart. But he was perfectly alive, perfectly awake, perfectly functioning until he was beaten senseless and died. Now, if anybody doesn't believe, wait a second, if anybody doesn't believe that they killed him.
Jeff, what you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to see you put on a uniform for one day and step in the shoes of those police officers out there. I mean, look.
Excuse me. What I know is, Ted, that a man is sleeping there. They approach him, they prod him, they attack him, and when he appears to be defending himself, well, I looked at the same tape you did, and the people who are doing the beating appear to be the people with sticks who are jamming it into the man. And
did you see what this guy knocked the victims out of the police officers?
I don't see it.
Well, I guess around this time I might as well bring up Thanksgiving, because I've been a defense lawyer for 22 years. My brother's been a police officer for 38 years, so Thanksgiving is not a good thing in our family because he's always right, and unfortunately he's always wrong because he's a police officer. But it's one of these situations where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. In this situation, though, what my concern is, why can't the police do something that's short of whacking a guy in the head with a baton? Complete violation of their own general orders. They could use a stun gun. They could use mace. I mean, I agree with Jeff. You have presence of cocaine and PCP in your system doesn't mean you're high on it at the time. So,
Jim, the process now, of course, would be administrative leave for the police officers. In most states, they do an investigation, right?
Absolutely, and there ought to be an independent investigation. Many police departments do an investigation within the police department. The better practice, Greta, Jeff, I could finish for a second. The better practice would be to have the district attorney or somebody outside the police department, or perhaps the attorney general, come in and do a fair investigation. The problem with this case is it follows 2 years after race riots in Cincinnati, where African Americans are rightly outraged at their treatment by the police. And the fact is, this evokes things like Rodney King, where I would have prosecuted those cops, and they should have been convicted in the state court.
Well, wait a second. In Rodney King, you know, we had Simi Valley, where the all-white jury saw the police beating the hell out of Rodney King,
And you saw
and exonerated him.
And that was a horrible miscarriage of justice, Jeff.
It happens all the time. It happens across America.
It does, and that's why this touches such a raw nerve for people. That's exactly why it touches a raw nerve. They have to have an independent outside investigation.
There's no such thing as an independent examination.
Hey, Jeff, let me say this. Hey, Jeff, you're right about that. Jeff, I'm on your side. You're right about that. Let me tell you what will happen. The FBI will come in this, they will give lip service to it, and they'll move along. But, Jeff, I think I tried more excessive force cases perhaps than anybody than you can imagine.
Than me.
I can tell you what I've seen here. I think these police officers are justified. I have represented police officers, and this is not a racial issue because there are black police officers involved in this.
You know what, Bernie?
I think there's a really clean way, if I could just real quick clean
Go ahead, Jim.
In San Jose, recently there was a case of an Asian woman who was shot by police officers after she came at them, they said, with a weapon. The district attorney in Santa Clara County held a grand jury, a public grand jury, which is provided for in California, so every citizen in the county could see all the evidence themselves. Everyone wasn't happy with it, but at least there was an open, public, full investigation. I think that ought to happen in this kind of case.
Why is it that the victim never attacks anybody until the police get there, and suddenly he decides to attack the police?
All right, that's it. Well, you got to stand by because we have to take a a very quick break. And up next, why are Scott Peterson and his lawyers going back to court this week? And later, it's not every day a simple life involves sex,